Okay. All right. So, what I wanted to ask you is, what do food and shoes have in common?
Oh my goodness. What do food and shoes have in common? Well, they both make us feel good shoes and good food both make us feel really good. So there's that. I think what's so cool about the foods we choose and the shoes we choose to wear, and also, any of our consumptive choices, whether it's our clothes or our shoes or our hats or our cars, all of that has an impact on the world around us. And every choice really counts. And I think what's so awesome about Pozu and Diet is that we both have this intense love for coconuts. And coconuts, I mean, your shoes are all made out of coconut. Coconut is my desert island food, not just because it's likely to grow on a desert island, but because culinary wise, you can do so much with it. With the meat, with the milk, you can make milk, you can bake with it, you can use it as a flour, as a filler, it's all that good fat. So I think that when it all comes down to, what shoes and food have in common is the idea that every choice counts and we can choose things that will deplete us and deplete our planet, or we can make choices that will build us up and will make us want to dance.
All right, cool. Funny, you almost answered all my questions in this one answer, but that's cool. That's sort of your
We're on the same
great. Excellent.
wavelength.
Exactly, yes. That's cool. Okay. That's great. So my next question is, because it's all, I mean, beyond all the sort of the food area that is your sort of basically speciality. It's we really love your sort of holistic approach to life in general. So I was thinking that you obviously talk about a lot about eliminating toxins from our food, which is obviously essential for our well-being. But I just wanted to sort of hear more about your sort of opinion on sort of how important is it to eliminate toxins sort of from other products that we sort of become in close contact with, especially, I suppose, clothing.
Right.
So yeah.
Well, I think there's two parts to it. One is that everything that we consume in our lives carries an energy with it. So things that are produced with love carry a love energy, and things that are produced in, less desirable conditions carry that kind of energy with it. And so I think that's sort of the first thing we need to pay attention to if we're looking at everything in terms of, that holistic view that it's all connected. The other component is that, it's easy to become a little bit self-indulgent when it comes to healthy living, meaning you want, the best kale for yourself and you want the best of everything for yourself and for your body, for your internal appearance, your external appearance. And what we sometimes forget is the component, with us taking care of ourselves, we may forget that, the nail polish we use also has an effect on our health and the planet, or the perfumes we use, or buying clothes that have, when you buy clothes from a store and it has that smell to it, whether it's a chemical, perfumey, processed smell. So the other part of that is that the things we consume in terms of what we wear, the chemicals in them will enter our body in one way or another through our skin, and that then circulates and becomes part of ourselves. And the other part to that is that, it's easy to think very consciously of our food because it's very trendy to now. And of course, everything that I do in Undiet in my book is about eating real food. But what we often don't consider is that in the choices we make with the clothes that we wear, those indirectly, or maybe more directly than we think, also have an impact on the quality of our food. For, cotton crops and these crops grown for clothing production are the most sprayed pesticide laden
Mm.
crops in the world. And so that all ends up in the very same water table that we water our plants with and that we're drinking. And so it's really important for people to understand that full connection. And what, in my book, there's a whole chapter that I kind of slipped in, which is on the land of away, that there is no away, and how all the choices we make, and that, you can't just throw something away and think it goes away. It stays with us, it stays on our planet, and it will impact our health one way or the other.
Mm. Great answer. Thank you. Okay, another question. Yeah, it's about sort of how sort of how food intake and activity sort of relating to each other. So basically, I remember my mum telling me that I should never eat standing up because because gravity will take the food into my legs and I'll get fat legs. Uh, uh, then then
I love that.
like every time sort of I sort of go sort of walk in town and I see sort of people rushing about and eating while they're walking, I kind of can't help but sort of imagining their feet getting fatter
Right.
as they um, and so I just wanted to hear sort of your take on sort of the relationship between eating and sort of being active sort of.
Right.
Hmm.
It's funny. I don't know that your mom was onto something. I don't know that that eating standing up gives you fat legs necessarily. What eating standing up or walking about or doing other things while eating will do is help us to eat as unconsciously as we can, so we're not paying attention to the consumption. The other component is the food that we are able to eat while walking is typically, they call it fast food. It's the food that, they now, I don't know if it's gone over there yet, but here, McDonald's is doing this thing where meals you could eat with one hand. So ideally the other hand is driving or typing or on the phone, but these
Okay.
wraps and stuff that come in an easy holdable thing. Pizza slices people eat walking down the street. The best kind of food are going to be the meals that we actually need to sit at a table and have cutlery and napkins and take our time to consume. So that's a really important factor, that if we're always eating on the go, we're really not paying attention to the food choices we're making. And the other side of that is that when we're on the go, when we're walking or rushing around, or even as kids, whether it's, sitting in a seat, standing up, or eating while running around the living room, we're not in a digestive state. We need to be in our parasympathetic nervous system, our rest to digest mode, to actually get the blood flow to our stomachs and our digestive tracts to digest and assimilate and absorb the nutrients from our food. So the other component to walking around and eating is that we're typically in a more active state or fight or flight, and we're not going to properly digest. So one, we're not getting the proper nutrients from the foods that we're even eating, and most foods that we're eating walking around don't even have that much to start with. And the other part is that we're not in a state to adequately digest, so we end up with digestive discomfort, gas, bloating, constipation, diarrhea, all those beautiful things that come with eating too quickly. So there's so many reasons to, sit at a table intended for dining and eat with the utensils we were trained to eat with as kids, and really pay attention to nothing else but our food when we're eating it.
Great, great stuff. I suppose it's also to do with sort of just having some like a sort of a relaxed time and to pause from all the other stuff that's happening in our lives, just to enjoy really.
Yes.
Um, Cool. So the last question I've got is, yeah, going back to the coconuts actually. But I was just wondering, have you ever baked or cooked with shoe cream? And,
No.
and basically, I don't know if you've known, but our our shoe cream is actually edible, and it's made from cold pressed organic coconut oil. Um, and and I'm sure you've used coconut in your recipes, but I just wanted to ask you for what is your favorite coconut recipe? If you could share this with us, please.
Oh my goodness. Oh, that's like, who's your favorite child? Not that I have children, but I understand you can't pick favorites. Well, in my book on diet, one of the best actually isn't even, I mean, you could eat it, but one of them is an all-purpose edible body butter that uses coconut oil and cacao butter as its base, which is probably very similar to you could make it and put on your face and then polish your shoes with it too. And then we add in some essential oils and all of that. So that's a great moisturizer, and that's a recipe that we cook up our cosmetics here in the kitchen. I also make a edible, it's like a beauty latte. So it's very similar ingredients, like how you can eat your shoe cream, we can eat our body butter. And this is a smoothie, so it's really nice, especially as we move into the colder months. Although I've lived in London and I think it's always cold there. But you can actually use warm water in your smoothie. So we'll do like a hot or warm water with our favorite herbal tea. We'll put in a little bit of raw cocoa and a little bit of hemp seeds and a little bit of coconut oil. And the coconut oil in the hot water makes it really rich and creamy because of all those good fats. And it's an amazing thing to have in the afternoon at like 2:30 or 3 in the afternoon when you start getting that energy slump, to take some coconut oil, because the short chain saturated fats are an amazing source of fuel. So they absorb really slowly into your bloodstream at a steady pace that your cells can actually utilize it and convert it to fuel. So less gets converted to fat on the tushy, on the bum, and more actually gets used as this fuel source. So it stabilizes your energy level, stabilizes your blood sugar, optimizes your brain and cognitive function. So it's so good. So even in your office, if you get hungry in the middle of the afternoon, you could just take a little spoonful of your shoe polish. Could be the best thing you've eaten all day.
That's great. That's really good to know. Thank you. Thank
You're
you.
welcome. But I also think coconut oil, outside of the recipe zone, it's really great for women as a makeup remover, a non-toxic makeup remover, as a moisturizer, as a pre-shampooing hair conditioning treatment. You can use it as a full body moisturizer. And also it's a really good personal lubricant because it's non-toxic and things going up there. It's highly absorbable. So you want to make sure you're putting non-toxic things up in the love shack.
Great stuff. Great stuff. Thank you. Thank you,
Thank
Megan.
you.
Lovely, lovely to speak to you.
And you.